Hi, I'm Kristen Samos, and with me today is Brett Kennelly, founder and managing director of Stadia Capital Group. Welcome, Brett.
Thank you, Kristen. It's great to be with you.
So you shared that Stadia Capital Group is somewhat of a personal mission for you. Why is that?
It is. I had a number of experiences years ago, and one was we were doing some private development project, and we had, it was a widow actually who provided some capital for one of our projects. She was an acquaintance. And when I was visiting her, she said something that really struck me. She said, "Brett, I want to thank you for allowing me to be part of this investment." And I was taken aback because I thought, well, shouldn't I be thanking her because she was providing the capital? But what I realized at that moment is that we were doing her a service. We were providing a reliable source of investment income for her, and that meant a lot to her. And so that was really a kind of an aha moment for me. I realized what we were doing was helping this individual. And then secondly, a little over 10 years ago, my uncle was suffering. Uncle Don was in late stages of cancer. And, it was a serious conversation on the back deck. We were sitting on his deck in Grass Valley, California. And he said, "Brett, would you manage Auntie's portfolio when I'm gone?" And I, of course, said, yes, I would. But he said, "Please focus on three things: capital preservation, income, and keep fees to a minimum." And it really stuck in my head. And I started realizing, seeing the investing world from the eyes of essentially a widow. And I said, what do they need? They don't need to find the next hot stock. They don't need to find an investment that's going to double or triple in the next few years. They really need reliable income, and they need to protect their capital. So that really became something that I said, this is worthwhile. This is worthy work. And so that was kind of the spark that started Stadia Capital many years ago.
You want to help people.
Yeah, exactly.
So what differentiates Stadia Capital Group from other firms?
Well, we are very different. We're not an investment advisor or a broker. We're a private company that invests capital. And so what we do is we deploy capital and we invest it where we think we can get a good rate of return. But more importantly, our mandate first, we started the company to provide reliable income for our clients. So it's not about using other people's capital to create our own empire. It exists to provide reliable income for our clients. That's really our mandate.
Something everybody wants.
Exactly.
Along those lines, Stadia Capital offers a certificate of investment. What is this and how does it work?
Well, going back to Carol and my Uncle Don, what they really needed was the functionality of a certificate of deposit, which is basically you provide a certain amount of money for a specified duration of time at a known rate of interest. And at the end of it, it matures and you get your money back. And so you don't have any interim volatility. And that's really what we wanted to offer our clients. So we said, how do we provide the functionality of a CD, but pay higher rates? And so when we met with our securities attorneys and said, here's what we'd like to do. And they said, you've actually put more thought into this than many, many people that have come through our door. And we've also had somebody who works in private equity said, this is a really well thought out strategy. So it functions like a CD, but just pays higher rates. And so you just deploy a certain amount of, capital, just like a CD, and it matures. And, so yeah, stability, I guess, is the way to describe it.
That's always nice. Talking a little bit more about certificate of investment, what's the typical starting investment?
Well, again, when it's 24 months, up to 48 months, but the way we determine those rates or those terms is we looked at it from the client's perspective. Most of our folks are retired and they're not looking 15, 20 years out. They're saying, how can I generate current income with a reasonable time commitment? And so we felt that 24 to 48 months kind of really was a sweet spot. And so we found that, we have clients at 24 months, but we found 36 and 48 months has been quite popular.
Okay. And they typically start out with what type of investment? What do they?
Our minimum's 25,000. We've 25,000 on up. So there's no maximum, but there is a minimum of 25,000.
So I understand you grew up in Silicon Valley. Talk a little bit about how that experience impacted your view of investing.
I feel fortunate. I'm old enough to have experienced the Valley when it was still fruit orchards and cornfields and pumpkin patches, but also experienced the tech boom. I remember using, my first job was at IBM on Cottle Road in San Jose in late 70s. And so I got to experience the tech boom as well. And what I realized about Silicon Valley is the power of matching a good idea with capital. And the two combined, you can have a good idea, but if you don't have access to capital, then it'll go nowhere. And so combining those two really can create opportunities and wealth. But also there's a lot of people that have already made their nest egg. They're not looking for the big returns. They're really just looking for reliable income, particularly in retirement. And going back to, Carol and Uncle Don, I realize, it's exciting to find the next hot stock, but what's really exciting is just getting reliable, check in the mail each month. And I thought that's worthy work, and that's what we want to focus on.
So you talk about the three primary phases of investing. Can you share a little bit about what they are?
I can. It's really a lot, mirrors life. You're young, you have middle age, and you have, the golden years, as they say. And so it's really about, the first stage is accumulation, then it's a growth phase, and then it's a preservation phase. So accumulation, growth, and preservation. When you're young, you have nothing, you start saving. So you're trying to accumulate some capital. As you get into your primary productive working years, you don't need the income off of your investments to pay your mortgage and your car payments and et cetera. So you're trying to focus on growth. You want to make that capital, the money you have saved, grow as much as possible. But eventually when you get to retirement, you're having to rely on either a pension or the return on your investments. We tend to focus, the way we do focus, on the stage 3.
Now, you shared a little bit about learning how to fly at an early age. Talk about how that maybe prepared you for this job and taught you about risk.
It was a great experience. In retrospect, I was going to be an airline pilot. That's what, the chart I was heading down. And, but what happened was when you're training to fly a plane, become a pilot, there's a lot of things involved. You need to know your craft, your instruments. You need to have where you're headed, your flight plan. But you also need to understand risk. What can go wrong? Flying, there's a lot going on. You're dealing with, communicating with the tower. You're flying the plane, and then there's also a lot of external, situational awareness is very important. But it taught me about managing risk, because learning to fly, you're constantly looking what might go wrong. So, and it's not in a pessimistic standpoint, it's in a realistic. It's saying, yeah, things don't always go as planned. You need to be prepared for it. So it really gave me a good, I guess, a foundational training of always realizing, hey, something can go wrong. So, my number one job is to protect our clients' capital. And so I think the flight training really prepared me for today.
That's interesting and fun.
It was, yeah.
Did you have any mentors that helped guide you?
I did. A lot of my mentors actually come through reading. I read a lot, mostly, nonfiction. And, but I had an office in Los Altos in the early 80s. And one of the gentleman next door to me was John Stewart, and he was a private fund manager. He managed, retirement capital for people. And he really taught me early on about investing, both from a fundamental and a technical standpoint. And I think a lot of what we'd meet together on Saturday morning, and he would share how he goes about it. And, I think what really impressed me was just his commitment to his craft. And, if you looked at, you wouldn't see that we didn't have big fancy offices and such, but it really, he was very, very good at his job. So yeah, John played a big role. And, many others. I think it's people that achieve success with ethics. That's really important. Somebody that does the right thing, that's important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hear you have strong opinions about customer service.
I do. I have to admit, I get frustrated when I can't reach somebody that I may need option 1, 2, or 3 isn't what I need, and there isn't option 4. And so I've always said with our company is, we have the latest technology. You can log into your accounts, all the normal stuff. But I wanted you to always be able to have the ability to reach somebody live. Sometimes you just need a simple question answered. So
I think
that's very important.
That's something everyone can relate to
Yeah.
and appreciate, definitely. And what are your clients saying?
The truth is almost nothing. And we like it that way because we're doing our job. And so when you have the market volatility, we don't get phone calls. We've got a PhD in finance that said, Brett, once people understand what you're doing and how you're doing, you'll probably have clients for life. And so, yeah, we're proud of what we've created.
Now, you've given us a lot of information today. What would you like people to take away from this conversation?
It's a fair question. I think, first of all, you'll be treated like you want to be treated. I have instilled in our team, the number one thing is do what's right for the client, treat them fairly. We provide predictability. We're not swinging for the bleachers. We're not going to double or triple your money. But if you're looking for just reliable income on a monthly basis, that's what we offer. It's kind of steady Eddie kind of thing.
Along with great customer service.
along with great customer service.
All right. Thank you so much, Brett, for talking with us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be with you.
Likewise.